I was sitting here just thinking about what I wanted to put in this slogcast, and I had an idea that I was going to go with, and I was running it through my head as to what I wanted to say about it. And I figured, well, maybe I'll listen to one of the songs off of my new release, and just to kind of break up the time, because every now and again I'll do that. I'll just pull up a song and just listen through a song, because music has a way of changing the mind, or putting you in a different place, or whenever you're listening to a song, it can make other ideas clearer. So I was thinking it through, what was I going to say in this slogcast, and I can't even remember what the topic was now that I was going to pick before I listened to the song off the new release. And so I listened to it, and I listened to it on my phone. I have the earbuds in. I had it turned all the way up, which to some people that might be way too loud, but for me, just right. And this song it's a pretty heavy song, actually, and it's a straightforward one. But as it started playing, it was kind of weird, because tears were being brought to my eyes. It was strange, because it's not a sad song in any stretch. It's a very aggressive song, and a very, I guess you could say, empowering song. But it just reminded me of what it is that I do whenever I write my music. I put so much of myself into every single song that I write. And I'll go back and I'll listen to Scream Therapy from time to time, and I hear that style of recording, because I record and mix things differently now than I did during Scream Therapy. I mean, it was Scream Therapy, I released that, 3 years ago? But it took me, there were songs on Scream Therapy that I had written, that I had created, probably, what year is this, 2017? We're talking 10 years ago. And a person changes a lot over the course of a year, let alone 10 years. Or I guess at that time, 7. And let alone an artist and the way that they go about things. So I'll go back and I'll listen to Scream Therapy, and I'll hear some of the things that I did, how I wrote those songs. But the point of it is, in Scream Therapy, in Rot, and in this new release, which is probably another irrelevant notion, every single song has this, what's the word? This incredibly deeply rooted, grasp, I guess you could say, on me. I put so much into every song that I write, and every song is different. I don't put the same thing into any 2 songs. There goes a semi. Might want to get off that Jake brake, boss. So I put everything of myself into these songs, and whenever I'm writing the instrumental part of them, it's a different process, because it's kind of like I write them subconsciously, because consciously I can hear the song and what I want it to be. It's like inside my head I'm hearing the song in the future. So I have that conscious sort of idea of what that song should be, and then I put my conscious mind on pause, so to speak. And then subconsciously, I just go through, and as I'm recording, I don't really pay attention to what I'm doing at the time. It's just all a process of, a subconscious process to meet up with where my where I'm consciously thinking the song should be. So as I'm going along, I don't think about, the details. They're all I just do them until I meet up, with those two frames of mind. And Scream Therapy had a lot more, I don't know if it had a lot more, but it had some more details in it, some more clean guitar, maybe some more synths. I'm not really sure, I guess you could say. The Epic Way of Dying, it had some accents on some of the downbeats. And Rot was recorded differently. It was more stripped down. Rot was very bare bones, you could say. And I was talking to a friend of mine who knows who I am and also knows what I do with Stenosis. He's one of the very, very few people who do. And he was telling me how much he liked Scream Therapy, and I was telling him about Rot, and he told me that Rot didn't really do it for him, which is fine. I think that's the important part of music. Just because music is released doesn't mean it needs to resonate with everybody. A song that gets released at the time of release should only resonate with the person who created it. So instead of a song resonating with everybody, what it should really be is every song should resonate with the artist that created it. So anyway, we're talking about Scream Therapy and Rot, and like I said, he told me that Rot didn't really do it for him. And I told him that Rot was one of those albums that I felt I needed to write. I needed to get out of the pipeline, because it wasn't a fast-paced song album. It wasn't it wasn't one of those albums that you would necessarily, and there's a couple songs I guess that you would perform live. And I try to think about that aspect too whenever I'm writing a song or recording it. How will it come out live? Because one day I would like to perform these things live, and I have the ideas in my head of lights and what I would want the imagery of it to be. So I was telling him Rot was this album that I felt I needed to write to move on to whatever was next, which in this case is the upcoming release, probably another Irrelevant Notion, which is very different from Rot. It might sonically sound similar to Rot, but the song structures are very different. This new one is going to be heavier. It's in drop A, but a lot of the songs don't sound like drop A. It's just a heavier, more up-tempo, full throttle album, whereas Rot was a very dark and reclused type album. And listening to this song today before I started recording this slogcast off the new album, it like I said, it brought tears to my eyes, because it just reminded me of everything that I put into these songs. Every single song resonates with me, and I never write something that I think the listener will like. I never approach a song thinking, okay, well, what can I do to get a bunch of people to listen to this? It's really the ultimate form of therapy, you could say. Some people write journals, or some people go for a run. I couldn't run to the mailbox without dying, probably. And people have coping mechanisms. Some people go to actual therapy, and that's why I named the first album Scream Therapy, because the vocals were very screaming in a lot of the songs, and that's what it was for me. That was the beginning of Stenosis and what it has evolved to be, and that's another world outside of myself, but one that is, if you can even think of it this way, far more real than myself. So, okay, getting back on track. I had, the song is very aggressive off this new album, so the tears, I didn't start crying. You probably think it's funny to think about Stenosis crying. Guy in a mask crying. Well, I'm not wearing my mask, so this song, I put a lot of shit into these songs, and I'm really hoping that, you guys enjoy the new release. And to everybody who's pre-ordered it, I want to say thank you very much for that. To know that what I release is worth somebody else's hard-earned money and their time, that says a lot. So thank you to everybody who's pre-ordered the album. The official release date is August 1st. And I personally am excited about that. Some days I would prefer it not to be so far away, because I want everybody to hear this album. I am really satisfied with it. Of course, there's always things that you would change, but that's the important part. But of all the albums I've released, this one feels the most whole to me. And that'll probably change down the road as time rolls on, And to everybody who listens to these slogcasts, I've really enjoyed making them, and I'm going to continue to make them. I would like to move them to a daily thing. And I'd like that people will take the time to listen to them, because sometimes it's hard for me to take what's in my head and translate it into a way where I'm satisfied with what I say, or that somebody else can understand what I say. So to those who sit through and they listen to the entire slogcast, I really appreciate it. And I say a lot because these aren't edited. These are as real as they get. So these slogcasts, I want to move them to daily. It may not be immediately, but it will be down the road. It's a form of content, and this is another form of, you could say, therapy, where I'm able to create something and move forward and do something that keeps the waters fresh, I guess you could say. So I really appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate everybody who shares the content. The subscribers continue to go down, which it doesn't really bug me all that much. That was a water bottle, by the way. It doesn't bother me all that much that the subscribers go down, because it shows me that the people who do unsubscribe, if any of them are intentional unsubscribers, if anybody is doing it intentionally, it shows me that they're not here for the reason I want people to be here. I want people to be here because they understand what the channel is. And for those of you who are here and who do listen to these, you understand it. And I'm extremely grateful for you all. So hopefully we'll get to doing these daily pretty soon. They're a good release for me. You can pre-order the new album at stenosismusic.net, or follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Stenosis Music. And we'll talk to you soon.